Stanley and Lichelle were actually walking through a parking lot this summer, the summer of 2010, when we were hosting a camp for students. We called it Go 3D, and we spent every day ensuring the fact that they had something to eat, they had something to do, they had activities, and they had stuff that they could take home and call their own. So it was a great camp. We also had several jars of jelly and peanut butter and some loaves of bread that were donated by the Dallas County Republican Party and that we provided to them. And they began to ask us what we did and why we would be so kind and why we would look out for them. They were kind of skeptical. And over the months that we have been blessed to work with Stanley and Lichelle, they've been a joy. They also don't ask for much, but we're glad to assist them. Lichelle just gave birth to a baby boy in February, so Noah's got a little brother, Troy, and we're glad to work with them. And Stanley is on his way to finishing his license to be a truck driver so that he can strengthen his family now.
Made a lot different for our life as our family. So that was the main thing, that somebody willing to help. And that's what we're looking for, somebody to help us me to get back on my feet. Yeah, grace of God, we are. I know I have to do the best thing, what's right for my family. So I got out there to do what I had to do, but it did make a difference about you coming in. It's where God, grace of God, to put us out there, put you out there in the front for we to recognize you. I have to look at the situation where people are willing, the idea to take out their time and willing to make a change for us in our life. The idea that y'all made a stand up, that came before to help us through. So it made a lot different because I was looking at that situation where I didn't know which way to turn or nothing, but I know I had to leave it in God's hand and let him keep on doing what he had to do. But bringing you, that was a whole lot different in our life. So with Shade Tree, it was a lot different.
We met Letha through the counselor at Thurgood Marshall. She introduced us, and we were glad to be able to work with them as well. She was a Katrina victim. So she was a refugee from New Orleans. She lost her home, she lost her belongings, she lost everything. And we were able to be of assistance to her because she couldn't get a job. The reason she couldn't get a job was because she didn't have an ID. She didn't have a Texas ID because she didn't have her birth certificate. She didn't have her birth certificate because she had to literally go back to Louisiana and go to Shreveport in order to get her birth certificate from the county records or from the state records. She couldn't do any of that because she couldn't drive there, she didn't have a car, and she couldn't afford the bus fare. So there was a sequence of events that needed to happen in order for her to be able to be gainfully employed again, and we were able to step in and assist her with all of that and a few other things to ensure that her daughter Deja was able to stay in school and focus on being a student.
It was a time where I thought we were going to be in the dark, and I didn't know what to do and where I was going to get it from, and I didn't have any money, and it was just me and the kids by ourselves, and I was getting really panicky. So yes, you were definitely a lifesaver. Oh yeah, definitely made a difference on Deja as well as the rest of the family, because she's eager about going to school. She loves the activities, and she's always looking for when Mr. Rob is going to have something else coming up. And she also loved going to the church. She always want to go back, and when am I going to talk to Mr. Rob about going back to church, because she enjoyed that. So it's really been positive with her. The family Shade Tree means a lot to me personally. They've been a real blessing, and it makes me feel good that I'm not alone. You know, I have someone that I can turn to. That it's getting better. I'm still looking, but it's not as hard as it was in the beginning.
I had the number for about a week, actually, and I got the nerve to call the family Shade Tree. And I spoke with Rob, and Rob was like, he was just very courteous. He asked me a lot of questions, but then it wasn't too many questions. And I was really surprised because all of the other people that I tried to go to for help, you know, for me and my family, you know, they were asking me things like your driver's license and, you know, all the personal information. But Rob just, you know, was like, what is your name, your kids, and, you know, I'm going to pay your rent. And I was like, what? You know, and I was like, oh God, this is not real. You know, so, but he was so helpful, and, you know, I was like, okay, you know, this is it. I'm going to see what this is all about. And when I spoke with him over the phone, I felt a sense of a sense of security and sincerity, but it was still kind of unbelievable because people just don't come right out, flat out and say, hey, we're gonna help you, you know. Family Shade Tree gave me a sense of knowing hope, you know, relief. I didn't have to pull my hair out wondering how I was gonna make ends meet, how I was gonna feed my kids. I could, you know, take care of my family, and my kids can stay in school and, you know, keep their friends, and I could, you know, look for jobs and knowing I still had someone to back me up, and you know, to love me and to really, you know, just throw themselves out on a limb for me. And that's something that you really don't find. I am so proud of them. I am really proud. My son is an A and B honor student, and so is my daughter. My daughter has come a very long way since elementary. She was a special needs child for a long time, and now she's with regular 7th graders, regular children, doing regular 7th grade work, where she was only doing like 4th grade level. Now she's on 7th grade level. And she's really doing it, and she loves it.
Crystal is a hero. She's an inspiration. She's the most courageous woman I believe I've met. She was on dialysis 3 days a week. Couldn't work, obviously, but adopted, took custodianship of her brother's 3 kids because she felt she could raise them right, and she didn't like the way that he was raising them. So she took full custody of these kids while she's on dialysis 3 days a week with a failed kidney. So Jennifer introduced me to them at the Thanksgiving meal, and then Dawn and I went and met with them in their home within the next week. And she didn't ask for a thing, not one thing. And we offered assistance just to help relieve some of the burden that she was under raising 4 children. Brave, brave lady. To this day, she hasn't asked for assistance one single time. Her sister was up from Greenville when Crystal had her kidney transplant. So while Crystal was in the hospital, her sister called and said, Mr. Pointer, we have these stacks of bills. Crystal can't pay them, but she's too proud to let them go unpaid, and she's too proud to ask. She had her kidney transplant. Can you help? Immediately, we went and grabbed her stack of bills and took that problem off of her shoulders so that she could raise those 4 kids and heal herself. So to this day, that brave lady hasn't asked for a single thing from the Family Shade Tree, but the Family Shade Tree has proudly helped her stabilize her student children.
The Family Shade Tree, what it means to me is relief, that there is hope, and that God has people out here that really cares for other people like me.
We got to know Myrna through the principal at Thurgood Marshall Elementary. Myrna was raising 4 girls on her own because she and her family immigrated here from Italy via Seychelles Isle. Her husband didn't make it through the immigration. He stayed in Italy to work, so now she has subsequently been here without her husband, without her friend, without her help, and the girls without their father. So she has been in this country trying to do everything on her own, working at every job she could possibly find, doing everything that she could possibly do. And since she is an immigrant, she does not get food stamps, she is not on welfare, she's not on any type of social program, so she is doing everything herself to raise these kids to the best of her ability. And the school loves those girls. They make good grades. They have now discovered that they're good athletes because working with the Family Shade Tree, they've been able to go to extracurricular activities. Whitney is in band. Whitney is also running track. Chelsea and Chantal are doing things outside of school they never did before, and the same with Angel. And Myrna beams with pride as she talks about those 4 girls, and she also asks for very little from us, but we're so glad to help her as she's here raising kids until her husband is able to rejoin her back here in America.
It was just like God sent, because it's really, 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 I don't know, but it was really, it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot that day because we were really, really in need of almost everything. And the very first day, there was no waiting. That first day, Rob gave us the main thing that we didn't have. We didn't have food. We didn't have much food.